Welcome to the Focal Insights Podcast Founder Hour edition, hosted by co-founder Joe Pawlak. Joe has been in the e-commerce industry for over 25 years. He grew and bootstrapped his own startup to a successful exit. Founder Hour episodes go behind the scenes to learn how some of the best e-commerce brands were founded, grown, and operated straight from the founders themselves. Founder Hour is brought to you by Focal Software, a new generation ERP and operation suite for e-commerce brands and third-party marketplace sellers. Focal was built with SMB brands and marketplace sellers in mind to help them grow profitably. Now let's welcome our host, Joe Pawlak.
Hello and welcome to the Focal eCommerce Insights Podcast, where we chat with e-commerce entrepreneurs about business, selling online, and how to overcome challenges for success. Today we have a very exciting guest, but before we get started, for listeners not familiar with this podcast or Focal Software is an e-commerce operations software and marketplace account management company. So if you need help growing your business profitably, be sure to stay tuned to future podcasts or feel free to reach out. Joining us today is Serge Ouimette, who is the CEO of Ocanada Soapworks, a company that creates handcrafted, gentle, and toxin-free soaps for personal care products designed for everyday use. Serge purchased an existing Ocanada Soapworks that was founded in 2000. He purchased the company in 2019. He is an engineer with a civil engineering degree from University of New Brunswick. He has pioneered time-sensitive soaps for hygienic and family-friendly environments, setting industry standards, holds proprietary products and patents that protect unique formulations. He is the previous founder and owner of Group Ouimette Consultants, an engineering firm with over 72 employees. He's also building a Scandinavian medical spa and hotel resort, and currently lives and works in Canmore, Alberta, Canada. Serge, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Joe, to have me along. This is going to be awesome time.
Yeah, it is. And because of your unique background, we can have a little bit of a different conversation than we normally have, because you are a founder, you purchased a company, and you're a developer. So we can get into the challenges of those types of paths once we get past the initial part of the podcast, which is always what motivated you to go out on your own and start a business. It sounds like that was the first thing you did out of those three paths. But for any listeners, people watching, that motivation is always very interesting, because many of them are in the same shoes you might have been a decade ago or even longer.
Well, I was very fortunate when I graduated from engineering. I worked for Interwest at the time for 3 years, and I started my own company then. And that grew to 17 employees, like you said earlier. So from that point on, the main thing was to, how to deal with people, how to you work with people to make projects. And when we moved here 11 years ago, again in the engineering part of the process, but it allowed me to look at ventures, what was going on here in Alberta, and what could be done differently than engineering. Engineering is it's very stressful, and it can be an ongoing process where there's legal aspects and all kinds of stuff. But the opportunity to Ocanada Soapworks came along the way from a friend of mine who was a real estate agent, and came up and said, "Hey, I've got a venue for you." And at the time I was like, I'm a civil engineer. I know nothing about soaps. What am I going to do with a soap company? But I was also planning to do the Scandinavian spa back then, 6 years ago, when I purchased in 2019. So then I saw the opportunity to produce products for skincare and for the spa industry, and my own, since I've been very fortunate to build 5 spas across Canada. This time I'm doing it for myself and my wife, Cheryl, who's a naturopathic doctor. So the opportunity to see, it was an opportunity to produce products specifically for the spa and specifically for our spa. So the opportunity was like it was at the hard to come about, and turn myself into, hey, I'm an engineer, to a retail producing company. But I saw the benefits of helping people. That's the main focus of why I purchased this company.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Oftentimes the motivation to build a company, start a company, or create products is because a need that's out there. So there's a problem that a lot of people have, and a lot of people need soap. A lot of people like good soap, so that's a given. But in this case, you had the problem, and the company can help you solve that while potentially growing a company even bigger than the needs of the spa.
And well, you're right. So the focus initially was for the spa, but it's grown on its own. It's its own beast right now where we have a whole bunch of employees. We have 21 different types of products. We do everything in-house. Everything's 100% natural as much as we can. Having a naturopathic wife, obviously everything that was toxic or not good for the skin was taken out. And that's when the company really took off on its own is having natural products in comparison to having commercial products that usually people buy. So that's what made it really interesting at first. It's like, okay, we have an opportunity to help people here. And
Yeah, and
that's how it evolved with that mindset.
right, right. And anytime you get into a company, whether you start it from scratch or whether you purchase it, you're going to come across challenges. Many of them you can anticipate, and many of them you can't because you don't never know what's going to happen. So talk a little bit about maybe that process of purchasing a company. I'm not sure how big it was or how complicated, what the due diligence looked like, but it's a little different than starting from scratch. What challenges did you face?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. Is it best to start from scratch or start something that's already existing? And it's got its own challenges. You got an owner that was previously there who was brilliant. Leanne Dakota is her name, and she was brilliant in putting everything together. However, when you start with that and you got to continue that legacy of what was created, and in her case, she created something that reflects the nature by means of flowers and plants and trees and so forth. And that's what the sense that was produced from all of, we do overall 541 products. So that's the basis of it. So to take off from something like this and build it up is not as easy as everybody thinks. It's like, okay, we've got something here. So for Ocanada Soapworks, it started in 2000 with a simple idea, and that was to create clean, safe, and beautiful soaps and other products that families and businesses could trust. So how do you build on that and build it more? Um, it's you promote hygiene, and since 2019, we expanded from a small shop with 3 part-time employees and 2 computers that weren't working to a strong retail presence, workshops, and online reach that now spans across Canada, which was not there before. Along the way, the journey has been more than, building brand that cares for its community, its employees, and the environment while staying true to our philosophy. And one model that we started with is if you can't eat it, don't put it on your skin. You're playing with people's health, and how do you make it work so that, and we created an oily products that really works well on your skin. I give you the best example. One of the products is called Emu soap. And I've got someone who came in September. Her hands looked like they were burnt. It was actually psoriasis. And she came in December. Don't know the gal. She walked in from Edmonton and just gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, "Look at my hands." And that's the benefits of a story like this, where we're producing, where people reach back and say, this works. So it's been a lot of fun developing that and seeing the end result.
Yeah, and that validation as you're growing a business and a brand, that's super important. Not just the validation for your own internal motivation and satisfaction, but also for having people out there uh, doing referrals, telling their friends about it, and growing it organically.
That's correct. And right now we have a store. We used to be on Main Street. We have a store in production at our production facility, which is 4,000 square feet. And people find us. It's in the middle of a industrial park, and people find us, which is amazing. And most people don't use other products. They find us. They come in the store, and they tell their own story, how they came about the product. And that's the invigorating part about, that's the, how should I say, the best revenue that you can get is when people come in and say, "Hey, now I only use this, and I've got a whole bunch of other people, my friends, family, that use it as well." So that's the thank you part.
Yeah, yeah. And you talked about when you purchased the company, the you sounds like you appreciated the original vision, but you had some product things that you wanted to maybe put your own stamp on it, your own new thing. So that's a good example of a product challenge when you quote unquote inherited a product. What about business challenges, operational challenges when you purchase a company? Was there anything that you came across that you didn't expect, or was it all pretty straightforward being
Oh,
somewhat small?
well, I'll start with this, and then I'll go into COVID because we only had the business for 4 months before COVID hit. But one of the biggest challenges is balancing growth with the commitment to quality and sustainability, and that goes into finding suppliers, developing formulas, scaling production without compromising the values we started with and maintain today. The, the challenge is educating the market, showing people that soap could be more than just a commodity. It's safe, effective, thoughtfully made. It's handmade compared to most commercial uses. Like any small business, there's still the usual hurdles of cash flow, logistics, and navigating the competitive landscape. Um, but it's taught us some really valuable um, information about resilience, innovation, and staying true to our philosophy. The best example is, like I said, 3 months in, 3.5 months into purchasing the company, COVID hit. And that worked well initially because Cheryl came up with a hand sanitizer solution that pretty much saved the company at the very beginning. However, post-COVID, it's a totally different way of marketing. It's a 360-degree way, completely different approach of selling, especially to B2B, so business to business. Things are very different from what they used to be.
Yeah, and COVID's a great example of accelerating the adoption of e-commerce because everybody stayed home and ordered everything online. So you got thrust into that a little bit early on and had to adapt, but you had a product that was, I mean, I'm not sure besides toilet paper, what was in higher demand than hand sanitizer during the COVID days. So what did you do? Did you already have an e-commerce strategy at the time that you just simply added products to and adapted some marketing, or did you have to jump into a new website, things like that?
Well, all the above. We had to change everything, our whole philosophy. And then when COVID hit, you realize people are staying at home. The fun part is we have an investor who's in Wuhan, China, where everything started, and he called us up in December saying, "Hey guys, something's coming up." And Cheryl went with the World Health Organization and Health Canada and developed this product with IPA, which is isopropyl alcohol, with a lotion in it, and actually got so popular that hospitals were calling us to get products because their hands were getting white from whatever they're using. And with Cheryl's, it was a kind of a creamy IPA product that really soothed the hands. So that really was the instigating to our start. And from then on, we had to build from that and just change how things were going prior to that, which means um, developing time-sensitive soap proprietary formulas. We had to invent a lot of our products from that point on, saying, okay, here's what was and here's where we need to go. That was one of the big challenges.
Yeah. So what did you do from an e-commerce standpoint? What tools did you deploy? What techniques? What did you learn from that you're um, still doing that's effective, and what's successful for you on the e-commerce side, including marketplaces? I mean, a lot of people, for convenience sake, were just getting their hand sanitizer or whatever on Amazon. Is that a marketplace where you're selling?
We're not on Amazon. Amazon has not been they take a good percentage. We should look more into it because they do take a good portion of the revenue. However, one of the things we did is streamline the production processes and the inventory management tools, which helped us scale efficiently without compromising craftsmanship. That was one of the things. On the operational side, tools like Klaviyo for customer engagement, e-commerce platforms for online sales, and workflow systems for staff coordination have been invaluable in keeping the business running smoothly. And even now, our new marketing team right now, we're working with Klaviyo, WooCommerce, WordPress, and these are tools that have been very effective in going into the social media. It's easy to create ads and posts and campaigns and then do the workflows that go out. So that's one way we're doing it right now. And we're targeting Facebook, Instagram, Google ads. We're about to go into TikTok as well. So we're really looking at before we go into the major like TikTok and Amazon, we want to make sure that the products stay true to themselves, and we don't underscore or overprice to the customer. So that's the main thing. There's a whole focus. It's just not just producing is one thing, selling, but make it effective to the customer. We sell them what they want and not what we think they need. So that's the main focus right now on how we move forward.
Yeah, and what you mentioned there is really critical for online marketplaces. When you talk about something like Amazon and the fees, and you look at a product like yours, which is a lot of handmade, time consuming, high quality ingredients, it's difficult to maintain margins without massive volume sales. And then to monitor that and have visibility to all those little fees, you need a lot of different tools to manage that. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. Those have to be integrated, like WooCommerce and other tools, so you can have visibility to where the margins are. Are you actually making money, or are you just moving product?
Yeah, you just raised a good point. And you know, when you invest in marketing, and we've done a lot of that, and we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars so far in 6 years. But one of the things is your expense to revenue. And obviously you want to get more revenue than your or lower than your expenses. And that's where we're being excessively careful and how to balance that out and make sure that we always have revenue that that is great for us, but also for the customer. You don't want to overprice the products, but you got to make it effective so the product is achievable and available for everybody. And that's what we're trying to do. And one of the things that we're really concentrating on now is the story. How do you tell the story? What's the story that makes Ocanada Soapworks stand out or is beneficial to the customer? And it's not about us. It's not about Ocanada Soapworks. It's about the experience. It's the experience that the customer is going to have when he has her products in their hands. And that's how we balance things out.
All right. And as far as e-commerce is concerned, it had a massive boost during COVID. It's sort of stabilized a little bit, but it's growing still very rapidly. Not at the same pace, of course. What do you see for the future of online sales? Is that going to continue to be a big part of your business, or are you looking to get more brick and mortar, so to speak, and service the new resort?
Well, I think the growth of the global e-commerce market is remarkable. I think it's got potential. It mirrors what we're seeing in consumer behavior. And it's more e-commerce now than it is, for instance, B2B selling to businesses and companies. We're seeing more online reach, increasingly looking for convenience, quality, and trusted brands online. We're seeing that with our competitors. How do we compete with that? And then quarterly, we make adjustments to that. So for Canada Soapworks, this represents a huge opportunity to expand our digital presence, reach more customers across Canada and beyond, and make our products accessible without compromising the experience or our in-store customers love. So the e-commerce is very important. And our plans include enhancing our e-commerce platform. We're always enhancing. Again, this morning I had a meeting with our marketing crew before coming on, improving online storytelling and product education. That's the main thing is educate. So how do you tell a customer who's online that you have a soap, let's say strawberries and field, and say, this is what it smells like? It's hard to explain. It's hard to say, here's what it felt, here's the benefits of it. When you don't have it, you don't smell it. So we want to grow in a thoughtful and sustainable way, scaling responsibility while maintaining our commitment to quality, sustainability, and rituals that make our products meaningful for our customers. That's really the basis of it.
All right. And one of the biggest challenges.
Okay, let's see how it works.
So another big challenge as you're building a brand and getting more educational things out there, getting people aware of your products, telling that story that you mentioned, you want to increase that reach, especially if you've built the company to scale and you're ready to go. But part of marketing can be very expensive. So talk a little bit about the challenges of where to put that marketing money at. You're not at an early stage, but maybe you're at a little bit of a plateau, if that's fair to say. But you can tell me what your situation is there with marketing versus spending marketing dollars when you don't have enough brand awareness to get the sales for the return on the marketing spend.
And that I think that's our biggest challenge, and you've hit right on, and I'm going to talk a bit about it now. It's to make people believe our ideas and products and find a source of credibility to draw on, and to I wouldn't say teach the marketing crews, but everybody's good. Everybody comes in and say, I'm the best marketing crew that you can have, and we're going to do this, this, and this. I've found out one thing over after hiring over the last 6 years, quite a lot of and marketing crews, and I've yet to. I think I might have found the one now. It's how to tell the story. How do you get the message across? And that's my main point of focus is how to make people to believe in the product and the self-interest into every headline we write. Make our headlines suggest to readers that there's something they want, and it's not about our product, it's not about us, it's about them, it's about the customer. Ads get self-interested through their head into our headlines by promising huge benefits for trivial costs. So how do we make it? And that's the story. And I think we're getting there slowly, but it's taken a while to get there. You got to be patient when it comes to marketing. You can't say today we're going to do it, and then next month you're going to get the revenue over the expenses. You got to spend money to get over that threshold. So that's where we're at now, is trying to develop that storyline where people want the product and not us telling them about the product. There's a big difference here. You can tell the product about, you can market and put posts and ad campaigns and just talk about and say you need this product. It's different. You got to tell the story. You got to tell what it smells like, what it feels like, how are you going to use it, what's the benefits long term and short term for you, your family, your kids. So that's the main goal now, is to tell a story and make it viable so they can purchase it for themselves because now they want it.
Yeah, and in your industry, not necessarily soaps, but things that are non-toxic, organic, things like this, there are a lot of companies that can create something that looks like it does all those things, and they can use some language like it does all those things. But to really do those things costs more, right? So they're cutting corners. And you used the word commodity earlier. I think a lot of people do commoditize things like soap or coffee or things like that, where they're shopping a lot of times by price. So you're competing with people that may have an inferior product that costs less, and you're trying to maintain margins and build brand. And that's a challenging spot to be in.
Yeah, and you've got a good point. So the lesson learned is that e-commerce isn't just about selling a product. It's about building trust and creating an experience. And one of our mottos is we're not a soap and body company. We're an experience. And that's what we're trying to sell, is the experience for anyone starting, for anyone starting an online business. My advice would be focus on quality, authenticity, and consistency. You got to be consistent and you got to be resilient, and just the message has got to be consistent about what we're doing. And that's what we're trying to do. Make our products deliver on the promise that we're making and tell the story in a way that connects with people. And that's the biggest challenge, is how to connect with people when a lot of marketing crews miss that. And this is my experience of hiring very good companies. Even in the US, I had a company from Chicago a few years back. They were highly recommended, and we had influencers, and the message wasn't getting across. And I was like, why is it not getting? We weren't telling the right story. We're trying to sell the product instead of inviting people to use the products and see by themselves. So yeah, different adjustments.
And I think it's such a great idea to use the spa as a channel to get the products out there, because people don't have to use your products to love them. They have to eventually, but to buy them, I should say. But if they use them, it sounds like there's quite a bit of adoption once people try the product. So are you looking to be exclusive to your own spa and resort, or are you looking to get out and use that as a way to get products out there as well, other resorts?
Well, the idea is to start with this one and specifically build products for the spa. It's got a medical sanctuary. It's medical, so Cheryl's going to be doing naturopathic events or with the spa, with massages and the hydrothermal, which is hot, cold, relax. And there's a relaxing part of that. But part of that also is when you get out of the water and you want to bathe yourself, wash yourself. We want the products to be specific to the spa, so they're relaxing. They're not in your face. You use it to really sense your body, get the experience, and then walk away from that relieved and really mind, body, and soul. So that's part of the mind, body, and soul process of that. Why I bought the company, is to create that experience. And then as we go, we'll see where that goes, but hopefully we can do more spas and competitive spas and just grow that aspect of what we call the funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, are you going to call the products Ocanada Soapworks at the spa, or will it have its own spa resort brand name, or is that undetermined at this point?
Yeah, we've looked at that. We looked at how we can go about that. I think the Ocanada Soapworks can always be there, but there'll be a specific name for the spa. Obviously, produced by it'll be a name. In this case, Flow Alpine Spa, but it'll be whatever Flow products. But at the end, produced by Ocanada Soapworks. I think that will be. You don't want Ocanada Soapworks to take over the spa and the brand of that company. Yeah, but that's the thinking right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a challenge because you don't know which is going to get more traction, and then that brand can run. But
Yeah,
time will tell. There, sounds like
yeah.
you're doing a little hybrid version of it, which is probably the safest way to go.
That would be the right definition.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we get into a section of the podcast that I call the speed round, which is kind of fun. It's just 3 questions for you to put on your entrepreneur cap. Nothing specific to any brand or business, just 3 questions that we want to look at as if somebody was thinking of getting into business, what would your advice be? And we'll get into questions and you can keep these answers short to medium.
Sure.
Okay. If someone's thinking about getting into business, what would be your number one piece of advice for them? And it can't be, if they want to start their own business, the advice can't be don't do it, which you hear from a lot of people, because it can be a difficult path, but it's got to be something they can take and run with. What's your advice?
I would say the number one would be invest in understanding your customer. And whether they're through feedback, analytics, or testing. Testing is important when you do marketing. You always test A/B, and don't underestimate the power of good visuals and clear messaging online. And finally, be patient. Growth takes time. Build a foundation you can scale on, and stay true to your values, because that's what creates loyal customers who will return again and again. And that's what we are having right now, which is wonderful. People keep coming back.
Yeah, and your advice is basically do your homework, make sure that you know what you're getting into, you know the market, you know what potential's out there. And I kind of look at entrepreneurs in a couple different camps. There's that, which is the more logical approach. Then there's some people that say just get started, jump into it, and you're going to figure it out as you come along, believe in it, and so on and so forth. But I like the do your homework before you take a big leap.
Yeah, and the one thing I started with that is understanding your customer, and we call it the avatar. What's your avatar? Who are the people you're focusing on? And we have three. We have from 18 to 22-year-old girls that know exactly what they want. You've got the middle one, which is a family's mother with kids that stay at home and doesn't have the ability to travel. And that we saw that during COVID, where people were families with young mothers and families with young kids were love to go online and purchase so they don't have to travel, and then we ship anywhere in the world. So that's one of the big, I think that's one of the understanding your avatar.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of e-commerce is can expand your customer base to the entire world.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Successful entrepreneurs often say you need to surround yourself with good people and need a little bit of luck as well. And sometimes they're one and the same, meaning a lucky hire could end up being a huge win. Somebody that you didn't expect could be a big contributor. So what are your thoughts on, yeah, and you can't do it alone. So at some point as you grow, you're going to need help. You're going to need people. So surrounding yourself with good people and maybe getting lucky in general or lucky with a good hire.
I think that the patience comes into play when you hire people. And I always say don't place people, position people by means, hire the people that have the experience, but also teachable. You got to have people that want to learn, because this is like myself 6 years ago. What in the world am I doing with the soap company when I don't even know how to make a soap? I don't, it's like making a cake down line, but at first it's pretty tedious. The learning curve is fast. So to bring in people, you gotta have people of confidence that will and also sell what they work at, and teachable is a big thing.
Yeah,
And sorry, and the other one is to keep them long term. Take care of your employees; they'll take care of you. They'll take care of the business. And the biggest challenge for me was not working in the company, but working on the company, and let those folks have trust in these your employees, and let them create something new. And that's amazing when it does happen.
yeah, and you always hear that when you hire people, employees, partner with people, whatever it is, that you don't always get the dedication of a founder from your staff or your team, but you do want that. You do want people to believe in what you're doing, and like you said, sell it every day. That's what we're doing with companies.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, last question. If you had a magic wand to fix one thing that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be that you could wave a magic wand and have it disappear?
I think my biggest challenge is me. Get out of the way. A lot of times I'll have my point of view and I'll stick to my guns, but it's not the way to go. You got to let go and release and believe and trust in the system. And once it gets going, you got to get out of the way. And that's my biggest challenges for me. As an engineer, I think you have to, the details are very important. And I've done the same thing with this company. Details are important. How we go about it, how we package something that goes out to, and it doesn't come back. So people keep coming back. They love the packaging, and this is the thing, is to develop and let go.
All right, so that actually ties back into the previous question, which was the team around you. So you're saying here, hire good people, empower them, and then get out of the way and let them do their job.
Correct. And I think that's my biggest challenge anyway.
Maybe step in only when you have to.
Correct.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, we've talked a lot about your soaps and products. And why don't you talk a little bit about where people can find your website, your products, maybe purchase or reach out to you if they have any questions, or find you in general?
Well, you know what? People can find Ocanada Soapworks through products through our flagship store in Canmore, our on-site retail shop at our manufacturing facility, or directly on our website at ocanadasoapworks.com. We also share tips on stories and behind-the-scene glimpses on our social media channels, including Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, excellent. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up today's podcast. Serge, thank you for sharing your experience with our listeners, and thanks to everyone listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Joe, for the opportunity. I really appreciated our talk today. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Focal Insights Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted of new episodes. See you next time.